Hello guys, good afternoon. Welcome to my channel. So today I am here with one more set of the series FSSI Initiative and Current Affairs. So today we are going to discuss one topic and one current affairs. So the topics part is Codex, which is very important because it is an international initiative program. So it is very important. And the current affairs part is draft notice that has been released by FSSAI on genetically modified foods. So this is still in the draft stage, and it will be held. It will be done into a final stage after public consultation and all. So let us know what is the draft notice that has been released by GM on genetically modified foods by FSSAI. So now let us focus on the topic Codex. So Codex standards, guidelines and codes of practices together is called as Codex texts. So it is voluntary in nature. So please remember this, it is not mandatory, it is voluntary. Codex standards can be general or specific and are reorganized by WTO agreements as reference standards. So Codex texts are voluntary in nature and they can be general or specific and are recognized by WTO agreements. Please remember this, they are recognized by WTO agreements. Member countries need to take legal steps at the national level to incorporate Codex guidelines into the legislation or regulations for it to be enforceable. So after a major agreement has been decided at the WTO, the national government should ratify them in their parliament by passing an act. So this has to be done now. So typically it deals with hygiene practices, labeling, contaminants, additives, inspection and certification, nutrition and residues of veterinary drugs and pesticides, and apply horizontally to products and product categories. So it applies for many things, so not only about only food standards, it applies also on labeling, hygiene practices, contaminations, additives, inspection and certification. It also includes veterinary drugs, so this is a new thing, and pesticides also, and apply horizontally to other products also. So this initiative has been taken in an international level. So as you know, FSSAI works in the national level, but in the international level also there is proper coordination between the countries so that to have a proper hygiene in the food which we have. So hence Codex is one of them, and in Codex you can see many things are present. So Codex code of practices also fall in two major categories: the codes of hygiene practice, which define the production, processing, manufacturing, transport and storage. So this is the supply side. So the first point is with respect to supply side, because production, processing, transport, and storage practices are involved. The other codes aim to prevention or reduction of chemical mineral contaminants such as the heavy metals or acrylamide and other components which are present in the foods, which is harmful for human health. So this is very important because if you consume if you consume the food which is harmful to our health, then there is no use of consuming that, because it is like it acts like a slow poison in our body. And so because our body reacts in such a way that if any other foreign particles or any other chemical is present in our body, then there will be differences in the operation of the body. Therefore, to avoid this, codex code has been developed. So the general standards in Codex are, which includes food additives, food hygiene, other food contaminants, and pesticides, residues, and residues of veterinary drugs. So this has been explained in detail. So food additives are fully regulated in Codex general standards for food additives and clearly lays out principles. Whereas food hygiene refers to avoiding microbiological contamination of food with harmful microorganisms. So you can just imagine in the street side and all, there will be a fruit salad seller, but there will be no protection on the fruits which he cuts, but and he keeps in the open space. So you can see the dusts from the road, and also the house flies and other microorganisms sit on those fruits, which is not edible for any human being. So these things has to be phased out. So Codex Alimentarius has drawn a new draft for the food hygiene. So other food contaminants includes chemicals, heavy metals, radioactive substances. They may enter the food through from the soil, humidity, or production processes. So also in some production processes there will be addition of some of the chemicals, due to which reaction, due to some kind of reaction, a new component will be formed which is not good for human health. For example, acrylamide. So this can be formed during the production process. So this has to be avoided. So pesticide residues and residues of veterinary drugs. So almost in India, most of the pesticides that has been used are high yielding variety seeds and other chemical fertilizers, because there is no usage of organic fertilizers or organic pesticides. Therefore, the usage of pesticides in a abnormal manner can affect the quality of the food. Therefore, this has to be avoided as per the Codex limits. In foods are specific contaminants caused by products used in maximum. Therefore, these are regulated in Codex maximum residue limits. Therefore, there is a maximum residue limit where there is a certain range between the lower limit and the upper limit for a specific quantity to be present in the food, which are available as database on the Codex website. So here you need to remember mainly one thing. One second, I'll explain that. Yeah, in here you need to remember that general standards in Codex include food additives, food hygiene, food contaminants, and pesticide residues and residues of veterinary drugs. So these are the four things which are present in the general standards in Codex. And also there are other things like labeling. Yeah, Codex also deals with labeling, includes provision of the name of the food and specified requirement to ensure that the consumer is not misled about the nature of the food. Methods of analyzing and sampling. There can't be any rapid or uh, inappropriate method of analysis and sampling. There has to be specified tests, and which has to be approved by the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India in consultation with the Codex. So it contains a list of test methods needed to ensure the commodity conforms the requirement of the standards. So important export inspection and certification. This is also very important because most of the items are not grown in India. For example, saffron is grown in Jammu and Kashmir, but the quantity in demand for saffron is very high. Therefore, India imports much of its saffron from Iran and Central Asian countries. So for this import and export inspection, there should be a specific guidelines. So Codex has provided, which defines the principles on trading practices to facilitate international trade, with guidance on how to set up food inspection and certification system. And next one is the nutritional aspects of food for labeling purposes and studied by the Codex Committee on Nutrition and Food for special dietary uses. So you can see on every pack, behind the pack, you can see that for every 100 grams, the amount of energy present, or the fat present, or the proteins present, everything will be mentioned. So this type of food labeling, in addition to setting standards for special foods such as gluten-free foods or foods for infants and small children, also has been provided by the Codex. So mainly it deals with comprehensively deals with everything for the safety of the food. So this is the overall topic for the today's, guys, that is the Codex. Now let us go into the current affairs section. So what is it? What is the news? So draft food safety and standards, genetically modified or engineered foods regulation 2021 was issued by FSSAI on November 15, 2021. So it is still in the draft phase. That is, it has not been confirmed yet. So it will be allowed for public consultation, and if there are any changes to be made, then the changes will be made. So till then, let us see what the news is about. So the draft regulation will be applicable to genetically modified crops, genetically engineered crops, living modified organisms. So it was issued for direct use as food or for processing. It will be applicable to food or processed food comprising of GM ingredients produced from but not containing GMOs, LMOs, or GOs. So basically it deals with GM, genetically modified crops. So what is genetically modified crops? So a crop is taken, and the genes of the crop will be modified in for such a way that it will be pest resistant, or it may increase its nutritional value. In India currently, only GM cotton is the only a crop in India that has been allowed for genetical modification. So please remember that in India only cotton has been allowed for GM, and that is for commercial use. For testing purposes and all other things are also used. For example, some years back there was a news regarding yellow rice. That is the rice which rice has been genetically modified to increase its vitamin D content. So likewise, the only commercial crop that has been allowed for genetical modification in India is cotton. So please remember that. So there will be some modifications in the genes of the cotton. So it will be resistant towards some specific pest. For example, in India it is referred as BT cotton. It is referred as BT cotton. BT means Bacillus thuringiensis. So this is a kind of organism that was destroying cotton. So now this BT cotton has been developed, which is pest resistant towards BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. So this is resistant towards the this type of organism, pest. So due to which the yields of the cotton has been increased, but there is no commercially food crop that has been allowed for genetical modification. So only the cotton has been allowed. So these provisions of the draft rules: no person will manufacture, store, sell, distribute, or import any food or food ingredient derived from GM organisms in country except with prior approval from food authority. So for whatever they do with respect to genetic engineering, they need to get FSSAI approval. Only after the approval provided by FSSAI, they can carry on with their work. So under the regulation, any food laboratory that has been notified in accordance with the section 43 of FSSAI Act can be designated for GM food testing. So for testing of the food which has been done by genetical modification, the FSSAI provides certification or permission to certain labs according to FSSAI Act. So only those labs are accredited and can perform the work of doing testings for different genetically modified crops. So this is the current affairs part, guys. So in this section, you need to remember that this is mainly for genetically modified or engineering foods, and it was issued for direct use as processing. Yeah, not only for food, it also applies for food processing. So, and the provisions says that only after getting permission from FSSAI, any genetical modification food crop production can take place, and only the laboratories approved by FSSAI can take place. And one more thing, the only crop that is allowed for commercial cultivation in India is only BT cotton. So that's all it for today, guys. If you like the video, please like it and share it with your friends so that it will have high reach. Thank you.